Business meeting will come to order. Denise, if we could have roll call, please.
Lisa Fricke.
Here.
Patsy Ko-Johns.
Here.
Rachel Wise.
Present.
John Witzel.
Here.
Molly O'Halloran.
Present.
Patricia Tim.
Yes.
Maureen Nichols.
Here.
Patrick McPherson.
Here.
Commissioner Bloomstead.
Present.
All present.
Thank you, Denise. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Information regarding the Open Meetings Act is posted on the east wall of this room on the south side of the door. Live web streaming will be available through the State Board of Education website. Board members, please engage your microphones before speaking and turn them off when you are done speaking. And please turn off your cell phones at this time. In regards to approval of the minutes, is there a motion to approve the minutes of the June 7 through 8, 2018 State Board of Education meeting?
I move approval of the minutes. Second.
Molly, second by Pat. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing or hearing none, Denise, please call roll.
Patrick McPherson.
Yes.
Maureen Nichols.
Yes.
Patricia Tim.
Yes.
Molly O'Halloran.
Yes.
John Witzel.
Yes.
Rachel Wise.
Yes.
Patsy Ko-Johns.
Yes.
Lisa Fricke.
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you, Denise. Commissioner, are there any recommended changes for today's agenda?
I don't have any consent agenda, things to pull off consent agenda or otherwise. I have one little change perhaps just for order. Michelle Helt is here to present. I thought after public comment it would make sense to go ahead and have her come up and present after public comment is done.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner. Is there a motion to approve today's agenda?
So move.
Thank you, Rachel.
Second.
Second by Patsy. Is there any discussion on this motion? Seeing and hearing none, Denise, please call roll.
John Witzel.
Yes.
Molly O'Halloran.
Yes.
Rachel Wise.
Yes.
Patsy Ko-Johns.
Yes.
Lisa Fricke.
Yes.
Patrick McPherson.
Yes.
Maureen Nichols.
Yes.
Patricia Tim.
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you, Denise. We will now have public comment period. This period is available for any person who wishes to address the State Board on subjects within its authority. Please note that the public comment should be on topics related to the State Board's constitutional and statutory authority. Thanks to the members of the public who attended today, we have no request for appearance. Other public comments? We will now move to our regular public comment period. I would like to remind you to please sign in if you've not already done so. There is a sign-in cards on the table. Today we have 3 public comment cards turned in, and the public will be speaking in the order in which the cards were received. Each member of the public will have 5 minutes to speak during the public comment period. I will announce the name of the speaker and the person who is next so they are prepared to come forward. Our first speaker this morning is Jay Sears, followed up by Cindy Kopic.
Good morning. For the record, I'm Jay Sears. I represent the 28,000 members of the Nebraska State Education Association, and I am representing them for the last time. I will retire August 31st, and I just wanted to say thank you to all of you who are current board members for the policy that you set for the educators and the students of Nebraska. And I want to thank the commissioner, even though he's a sax player. But he's a good sax player.
He's a good sax player.
For his work with the state board and the department staff, and for all of the staff members who are no longer here with us, who've taken retirement before me, and that wasn't fair. They said they were going to stay around. And for those who are continuing on, you have a great staff to work with. I know that education in the state of Nebraska is in good hands with those of you sitting around this table and those people that work here on 6th floor and out in the rest of the state of Nebraska. I've enjoyed watching this board and the Department of Education for 22 years. That's 22 years of my 34 years with the Nebraska State Education Association and 46 years in the education profession. So thank you for what you do. Sitting back in the corner, my companion, cohort, colleague, Dr. Cindy Kopich will be the person that will be watching you from now on. Please treat her with kindness, as I know you will. It's been fun working with Cindy and trying to give her some of the ins and outs of what happens in the department and how to work with state board members. And I don't have to teach her very much. She's really good at this. So thank you for your service. And I might, tune in September and watch you on the video streaming, just to see if you get it right.
You really need to find something else to do.
Yeah. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jay. Cindy Kopich, Doctor, you're next, ma'am.
I'm Cindy Kopich. I work with NSCA, and I'd just like to take this time to acknowledge not only all of the care and feeding that Jay has given me over the past 3 years, but also the 46 years he has served public education in the state of Nebraska. He has spent countless hours mentoring teachers, talking with teachers about effective policy, school law, working with teacher certification, both through our TSAC organization and NCTE, which is your statutory body that provides, input to you as the state board. And just an incredible history. Since 1996, he has worked with the state board and served as a resource for over 22 years. He told me he's had the pleasure of working with over 4 commissioners, countless NDE staff, I think 6 education chairs he's worked with in the legislature, and all of our teachers and paraeducators across the state. So Jay has really been the go-to person when it comes to well-researched, grounded, effective policy. Jay's always worked to put kids first, and that's been apparent to me in my working with Jay for the past 3 years. So I have been told that I have big shoes to fill, and I think that's just a pretty big understatement. I don't know how you can take someone's 46 years of experience and try to help someone new understand that in the 3 years we've worked together. But he is leaving what I would call more of a legacy. If I can do just a small fraction of what Jay has done over those 46 years, I think that would be what I would consider successful. And he has been more than gracious in working with me. So I am excited to work with you in this transition. It's been interesting. I told Jay we'll probably have to get an engraved pillow to set over in the corner after he's gone, so that we can, remember our days of 3 years of sitting at state board meetings together. But I thank Jay publicly for his generosity of his time and knowledge. I'm grateful to him as a colleague and as my friend. And we have a little running joke that we call Jay the defender of teacher certification. And so I have a cape that I have purchased for him that if you'd like to sign it afterwards, we've been collecting signatures on his cape. So thank you, Jay, for defending teacher certification for the past 22 years with the state board. And I look forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.
Rachel Pinkerton, ma'am.
Good morning. I'm excited to
call your attention to an event tomorrow at the Creighton campus. You may have noticed our friend Glenn Flint here, who is associated with this organization. I have been a volunteer for Clarice Jackson at her Voice Advocacy Center, and I guess I had the privilege of introducing Glenn to Clarice, as I recall. Anyway, he's continues to be a tutor there, and there's a having this event. I'm really excited tomorrow to be hearing from Dr. Keith McGee. He is co-creator of the Yale Multicultural Dyslexia Initiative. He'll be the keynote speaker, and he's a pastor and a humanitarian, and he himself experiences dyslexia. So I'm sure he'll have a lot of insights. And I'm hopeful with our new legislation and the attention I think we're going to see from the board in terms of implementation and really looking at our instruction and our screening. And I really hope we'll look back on this as the time that our literacy rates just began to skyrocket, because they really need to be up toward 100%, and that's not where they are. Clarice is a friend, and she's a very busy person. She is on the Mayor Jean Stothart's Human Rights and Relations Board. She serves as chair. She's very active, of course, in dyslexia, serves on a national body fighting for appropriate intervention for people experiencing dyslexia. And she's quite a dynamic individual, and she sadly lost a daughter, you may be aware, to violence. And so she's a woman of faith and somebody who is going to make the most of whatever bitter experience life deals her. So she has had an annual event. This is the third annual event that honors her daughter, Letitia J. Fox. And this is a dyslexia legacy luncheon. So I'm hoping to see, I know Pat's going to be there. I'm hoping to see some OPS and other school officials. Again, with our new legislation, it's time to ramp up and address this. And happily, the sound reading instruction, phonics based, is the best start for reading for everyone now. And I look forward to hearing what this gentleman has to tell us tomorrow. So, thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Pinkerton. Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Dan, I don't see a card for you. Did you submit a card, sir? Thank you. Made a little bit of a change in our agenda. We're now going to special presentations and discussions, and we're going to have our quarterly report by Michelle Helt, 2018 Nebraska Teacher of the Year, Cardinal Elementary School, South City, Nebraska. Welcome, Michelle. 2018 Teacher of the Year, third grade teacher at Cardinal Elementary School from South Sioux City, Nebraska, to give her quarterly report to us.
Good morning. Good morning.
It's a lot more fun with pictures. Oh, what are you looking for? Oh, I thought she was gonna pull it up. I just need to get on Google.
This is how Drew gets on the camera.
Thank you. Sorry. Google is supposed to make this easier. All right. Whew, I got it. I know. Thinking I should have just put it on a flash drive. Okay, good morning. As I eked in here right at 9. So 3 words can probably describe my time since the last time I was here. Busy, busy, and I think you can probably guess busy. It has been a whirlwind of experiences. I am amazed and absolutely honored that I've got to have all of these experiences. When I was in Washington, D.C., it was full of once-in-a-lifetime things. I think that was the first time I'd been there, so my husband and I were very spoiled by the royal treatment that we got. We were able to visit the U.S. Naval Observatory, and we ended it with a trip to the National Museum of African American History and Culture, which was so touching and incredibly moving. Space camp was something I have never experienced before in my life. I had no idea what to expect, and can honestly say I felt like a child again, just kind of reliving that youth. I mean, there were times we were cheering and clapping, and I'm thinking, okay, we got an egg to drop without breaking it, and that was the excitement for the day, but it was absolutely amazing. I have created some great relationships with other teachers of the year, but I think the thing that's really impressed me is the knowledge that I have gained outside of my classroom. My passion is teaching, and I love it. But I've gotten to see the other side. I've gotten to see what you do. I've gotten to see what happens at the federal level. And I feel like my confidence has really been boosted, and I feel like I'm a better advocate for my kids, other teachers, and public education. So I wanted to share with you just some of the experiences that I've had along the way. So since the last time I was here, I did do a keynote and a breakout session at Morningside College, which is in my hometown of Sioux City. I had my first ever Zoom call, which I've never done one of these before, for the NSCA Student Association keynote, because there was a blizzard the second week of April, and I was unable to make it. So it was quite interesting. They had a great participation, and like I said, I've never done this before, so you got to key in on some of the students, and it just amazed me. You know, I'm thinking back to my college years. They're on the couch, they're in their pajamas. I'm like, okay, this is different, but they were so engaged, had great questions. It was a really good experience. And then I also presented at the data conference in February, March, also down here. So Washington Week started at the end of April. Here's the first gathering of the STOY teachers. Our week started out at the Smithsonian. And I included this picture. I had the opportunity, one of the things we got to do was do breakout sessions. And I got the chance to go with a teacher. She's a preschool teacher for an early childhood program that's ran through the Smithsonian. So my understanding is these students literally go to school at the Smithsonian every day. Talk about powerful. And you know, of course, my first question is, what is the cost on that? And she said, no, it's very similar to the other preschools in the area. And she started out by showing us this picture which linked to wind. This was a science lesson based on this picture. By the end, we were using fans and scarves to try to determine how much wind there must have been in order to create the movement of the clothing and the hair. And it was so amazing. And also opened up learning labs, which I've never been involved with before. So it's Smithsonian, they put all of their artifacts on there, and you can access those in a lot of different ways, and it's free, which is always great to hear. So this was a really great experience. The other thing that I took away from the Smithsonian, we had, you know, like a teacher fair, you know, you get free stuff. I mean, we were in heaven walking around and gathering all of these things. And one of the packets we got was the Smithsonian Science Curriculum, which aligns with next generation science standards, right? Which we just adopted, which closely, I love that Nebraska has their own spin, but it closely aligns with next generation. So I contacted them and I get to pilot part of their program this school year. So as my school system is looking at new resources to meet our new standards, which are incredibly different, and I'm so excited about them, I do get to pilot this program, and hopefully it'll be something that we can bring to our school. So I thought that was something great that came out of there. We were at the Smithsonian Castle. I mean, the day was just magical. Followed by a visit to the Department of Ed. Not quite as magical, but it was an experience. So we did get to have a meeting with Secretary DeVos. I will say, so she got up and gave some opening remarks. I was impressed with the fact that she said, okay, let's pull our chairs around and let's have a talk. So she was willing to talk. I didn't necessarily love everything she had to say, but I love that she was willing to listen to people and give their input. So we did. We sat in that room and had a discussion. I'm going to come back to that a little bit later about lessons that I learned, because there was a lesson to be learned in that room. The following day, we had the opportunity to go to the Watergate Hotel, in which I took a pen, and it says, I stole this pen from the Watergate Hotel, and I gave it to my dad. He thought that was great. So that was, and we had a chance. Corwin Publishing is now on that floor of where the Watergate Hotel scandal happened. And so we had a chance to visit with them and some other supporters. I then met with some staffers for Representative Smith and Senator, and I know I say his name wrong. Can you please tell me how to say it? Is it Sass? Sass, thank you. They were on recess the week that we were there, so I met with staffers. Their staffers are not, they are not in education, but they were so open to ideas, and we had some great conversations, and I just wanted to put myself out there as a resource if they ever needed anything in the field of education. Then we were able to visit the White House. Prior to that, there was a panel discussion with Secretary DeVos and, Secretary of Labor Acosta. Am I saying that correctly? Great conversations. I think he really had a great pulse on where education needs to be to reach what we need in our current workforce. He was very well spoken on that. And then again, met with Secretary DeVos. So I'm including these simply because I'd never been to the White House, and we got to explore parts of the White House where maybe the public don't get to explore, or sit on the couch that no one else gets to sit on. That was a big deal. I was standing there, and they had the military, and he said, it's okay, you can sit on the couch. I'm like, okay, Travis, take a picture really quick. So, and then I never take pictures of my food, but how often do you get to eat in the White House? So it was amazing. The only thing I did pass on was split pea soup. Ooh. So I even had to ask, I'm like, excuse me, sir, what is that? Oh, it's split pea soup. I'm like, oh, okay. And then again with the selfies, not something I'm great at, but I did not know that when the president comes out, they change the seal, they bring out like a special table, and he had his water at a certain place, so there was a little transition time in between there. This was President Trump addressing us. We did not have an opportunity to meet with him this year, but he did give a short speech. This was great, something that my students loved. As we were being escorted out, so I felt like it was like a top secret mission. They're like, and go, and go, and go. And so we're walking out down these stairs, and we walk by the soccer goal that is in their backyard, like their private little area. And so it was a great connection with my students. Like, look at this, even at the White House, they have the soccer goal there, so they loved that. And then we were waited in some more security lines. That was one thing I learned. Do not misplace your ID, and just be prepared to wait. So we were waiting to get into the Vice President's home. We were told as we arrived, you may not post anything on social media, you may not have any, basically you could take pictures all you wanted, but do not post anything. And we realized later, as we got in, it's because the Vice President was there. So we were just sitting there, and my husband, we were getting food again. My husband drops the food on the floor. I'm like, oh God, Travis. And then the Vice President comes down and says, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mike Pence, and the room just gets really quiet. He addressed the Teachers of the Year, and then the second lady, who was wonderful. She clearly has an idea of what teachers go through every day. it was a great experience there. We had the CCSSO Gala. I met some members from Nebraska there. Much to my dismay, I'm like, so is there dancing? What do we do at this gala? They're like, no, it's just really fancy food. I'm like, okay. So I had this formal on with this really fancy food. It was an amazing night, though. It was beautiful. The following day, we did get to go into the National Museum of African American Culture and History. We got to go in about an hour early before the public, and it was very touching to be able to go through that. In hindsight, I wish I could have gone through it sooner, because by the end of the week, my brain had taken in a lot, so I would love to go back again. And then we arrived at Space Camp. This was just a couple of weeks ago in Huntsville, and this is my team. We had an SLS presentation, so Space Launch System. I am not much of a space girl, but boy did I learn a lot. So this is the communications director that told us about the SLS system that we're trying to get up and running and get us to Mars. We also had an opportunity to listen to Homer Hickam. So if anyone has read the book Rocket Boys or seen the movie October Sky, I've never read or seen either, but I plan to do that. He is a beautiful storyteller and some great connections that I can make with my students. I did get to be in mission control at one time for one of our operations, and it was taking 2 astronauts back to the International Space Station and making a switch. So we were in charge of this. And this is the Teacher of the Year from Minnesota. And then what's Space Camp without a rocket launch? Mine did not go far. But it was a lot of fun to build. So our team, this is Team Harmony. Part of it was to create a mission patch. So ours talked about taking all of our pieces and bringing it together into one. So this is something I'm plan to relate to, like in my opening address when I speak with our teachers going back to school, and then also talking to my students. You know, we function as a team, so all pieces are going to come together. And then I flew right into Omaha, drove right to Kearney, and presented at Administrative Days with my principal, Dan Swadek. We talked a lot about the PLC process. We've got a lot of great feedback on that, and we had some people reaching out to us. And then here's some lessons learned. So while I was in DC, I had an opportunity to stand right where Martin Luther King Jr. stood, and to look out over the mall and to imagine it packed with thousands and thousands of people was quite humbling. So while I was at Space Camp, I created a circuit on a circuit board to make a flashlight. Again, it was one of those moments where I'm like, this is amazing. And my dad looked at me and said, you know, I could teach you how to do that. I'm like, I know, but I got to solder, and I got to put the whole thing together. It was a pretty amazing experience. It just reignited that passion and making sure that my students are having the fun as well. The only reason I included this, you can see me kind of in the background. It's like I'm saying a prayer. So our egg is here. This is to represent the rover as if it landed on the moon. So we dropped it, and then we had to have the rover going down. So back there just kind of praying that it did well, which our team did awesome, by the way. Here's my lesson that I learned as far as our meeting with Secretary DeVos. So we left that meeting and quickly became kind of one of the trending topics. I think the headline was, top educators in the nation in a verbal sparring match with Secretary DeVos. Not exactly how I saw it in the room. So I guess I learned that words can be incredibly powerful. Use them wisely, use them carefully. So if you say something to someone, you can expect it to be repeated in any number of ways. So again, I respect the fact that Secretary DeVos actually took the time to listen. I did learn from that meeting a lot of what is happening in our state comes down to the state level, to which I want to thank you, because I do not, when we get together, I cannot say the negative things that the other states are saying. I mean, I'm thinking, wow, we are headed in the right direction. I feel like in getting to know you over the past year that our school boards are looking to do what's best for Nebraska students, and I don't think every state has that. So this is, okay, so the other thing I learned was to face your fear. This is the smile before we did the shoot up in the air and then you drop. And then here's my favorite picture. This is like right before my life flashed before my eyes. I literally thought I was dying, but I got off and it was so powerful. I got to call my girls at home and say, I did it. Mom did it. I was terrified, but I faced my fears and I did it. So many great lessons to bring back to my own girls at home and my students in the classroom. So here are our last pictures of fun. This is at the Vice President's home. My husband and I were taking a selfie, and behind us is the security. You did not approach them. They were kind of everywhere. It was just amazing to be part of that. And then we were walking around their pool, taking your shoes off, putting your feet in, just having conversations. It was an amazing day. So my upcoming events for right now would be Next Steps in New Jersey. And then I have a few things people have been contacting from the administrative days to visit with some schools. And then I do have a few questions for you. So I'm visiting with a few board members. It was recommended to come with maybe some questions. So my 2 questions, I feel like because my confidence and my knowledge has grown, I would love to know some ways that I could support teachers across Nebraska. I am kind of up in my own little bubble, and I know there's so many different things happening across Nebraska. I would love to know how I could support them. And my other question is, how am I able to advocate for or against legislation? Prior to this experience, I did teach in my classroom. I loved my district. I loved my school. And now I see it's a much bigger picture. So I want to be involved, but I need guidance on how to do that. So I know I still have a little bit of time left, but and beyond that, obviously. So I would love to know ways that I could be helpful to you in the future.
Michelle and I had a conversation when we were in Kearney, and I have talked to Ryan, and he will be circling around and talking to you about some ways that you can do work on our discussion about reading.
Excellent.
With Michelle being a 3rd grade teacher, and where we have this new legislation, she said she wanted to be involved so that she could not only advocate, but maybe do some professional development within that. So, yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah,
That would be fabulous.
Ryan's going to talk to you, and we'll see what we can work out.
Excellent.
Well, Michelle, it was a pleasure to visit with you in Kearney as well. And I think the opportunities you have are unlimited as not just a role in your teacher, but just as an individual. So I think working with your legislator in your local area has a lot of value. And I believe that is Senator Albrecht. Is that?
Yes.
So I think meeting with her would be an important first step, and talk about the things from your perspective and from the perspective of South Sioux City, what your needs are. I mean, you have an amazing classroom. I've been blessed to be able to be in your classroom. You're an amazing teacher. I think being able to tell your story and share some of these experiences with Senator Albrecht at the one-to-one level is so important and can be so impactful from a legislative perspective. Sharing with us, we all appreciate this opportunity. I think as Pat said, getting involved in committees at the state level, but also just continuing to get involved in the leadership within your district the way that you do. I think that instills more passion. If you can carry your passion to other teachers, that's what's so important. As teachers, we get tired once in a while, and though it's been a while, to be able to bring that passion back is so important for teachers, and I think that's as a role model, you do a wonderful job with that, and that's, I think, an important step. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. One thing I thought of as you asked that question was something you said earlier that you did with the NSCA group. It would be nice to have consistency in the communication to teachers throughout the state. And I don't know if you use Zoom or whatever, but once a month or however often, your passion and who you are and what you do with kids and what you do when you're around people would ignite a flame of learning, not only for teachers, but the students of those teachers.
Thank you.
So if you could do something on a regular basis, I mean, just listening to you and your excitement and your passion for education, just it makes us all feel good. So thank you.
Thank you.
I was thinking along the same lines as Lisa was, and you might get a hold of the NSCA and talk to Al Kuntz.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and see if there's room for you in the Voice to have a once a month.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be huge,
I
but
didn't-
even telling what you're doing, and maybe I love the lessons that you're saying, this is what I learned from this, and this is what I took back to my classroom. I think it'd be so valuable. And the other thing, learning from my own mistakes along the way, make sure that you, in your speaking engagements, you remember all of Nebraska, because I look back on it and think that I did a lot of my engagements were in this part of the state, and some in Kearney and that sort of thing. But if you could push the line a little bit.
That's a
Yeah.
great reminder. That really is a
Yeah.
great reminder.
Yeah, and I lived in central Nebraska, and so I travel back to central Nebraska and Molly's place as well. I have family there, but I see more and more of the teachers there feeling like they're not represented as well. So push that line
Yep,
for
that's
that.
great.
And then whenever you get a chance, come back here and speak. I personally think it should be more than quarterly. I don't know about anybody else. They might say no about that, but
Well,
I
I could
doubt
go
it.
on and on. Did you say? I didn't even look at the time. I'm sure I'm well
Yeah,
past my
yeah.
time.
Well, you can go on and on. You have that right. But come back even more often to speak to us and tell us what you're doing, because this also is a way of inspiring a larger group of people. And trips down memory lane. Thank you for sharing.
Yes.
Michelle, we're going to be taking a 10-minute break here from the board, and I'm sure all the board members, sure, Molly.
Pardon me, President. That's all. I was going to suggest that not just you, Michelle, but the whole group of our state teachers of the year, we have such valuable resources in the wisdom of really generations. And our legislative committee is not ready to submit our proposals for legislative advocacy. But I think the State Teachers of the Year might be a good group to share those once we go public with that. Then you actually would be joining your voices to create a stronger message. And I loved what you say about if the State Teachers of the Year could talk to their local senators. That would be wonderful. And then also on the federal level, if that's okay with you, Rachel.
Thank
and
you, Molly.
Commissioner. Thank you so much, Michelle. I love to see your joy and excitement. You're a great teacher.
Thank you.
Michelle, we appreciate if you'd stick around. We'd certainly like to talk with you afterwards for our break.
Yes.
So we'll be breaking for 10 minutes. Thank you very much. Continue on with our agenda, and we'll start with the Policy Committee. Vice President Tim, is there a motion on item 7.4.a?
Yes. I move to approve proposed revisions to State Board Policy P9, Ethics, Accountability, and Disclosure.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing or seeing none, Denise, roll call, please.
Rachel Wise,
Yes.
John Witzel,
Yes.
Lisa Fricky,
Yes.
Patsy Kojan,
Yes.
Patrick McPherson,
Yes.
Maureen Nichols,
Yes.
Molly O'Halloran,
Yes.
Patricia Tim.
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you very much, Denise. Vice President Tim, is there a motion on item 7.4.b?
Yes. I move to adopt a proposed resolution on equity in education, and once we have the motion on the floor, I will read the resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Rachel. Is there any discussion on this motion? Seeing or hearing none, Denise, please call.
Did you want to read it first?
Yeah, I want to read it first.
Please.
Okay. Whereas the mission of the Nebraska Department of Education, NDE, is to lead and support the preparation of all Nebraskans for learning, earning, and living. Whereas the strategic priorities of the NDE are to ensure that all Nebraskans, regardless of background or circumstances, have equitable access to opportunities for success and increase the number of Nebraskans who are ready for success in post-secondary education, career, and civic life. Whereas the NDE theme for the 2018-2019 year is Champions for Equity in Education. Whereas the Commissioner of Education delivered a speech on Wednesday, July 25th, 2018, at the NDE Program Day of the Administrators' Day Conference in Kearney, Nebraska, titled Commitments for Equity in Education. Whereas the following statements describe how the NDE will lead for equity. Champion educational equity by actively leading the strategic vision, goals, and policy direction to support learning, earning, and living for all students. Regulate educational equity by leveraging policy authority to ensure delivery of high-quality, equitable education and services beyond compliance with state and federal regulations. Build capacity around educational equity by directing technical assistance and professional development opportunities and by promoting the sharing of best practices. Build connections in support of educational equity by bridging the divide between learning, earning, and living, connecting schools, families, business, and communities. And demonstrate a change agency by exploring and supporting promising new innovations that advance educational equity. Whereas the Commissioner of Education outlined the following commitments for equity in education, the NDE commits to equity of opportunity by ensuring all Nebraskans are college, career, and civic ready.
Is there any discussion on this motion?
Mr. President, there is a second page.
Oh, there is? I'm sorry. There's more. The NDE commits to equity of achievement by measuring and tracking academic progress. The NDE commits to equity of access by leading and supporting educators' effectiveness. The NDE commits to equity of access by supporting quality instructional materials, and the NDE commits to equity of access and opportunity by engaging Nebraskans. Whereas Nebraska will lead the way in addressing inequities of the past by focusing on opportunities to learn for all students and by adopting a relentless focus on outcomes that ensure all stakeholders deliver on the promise of equity. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the State Board of Education affirms the message delivered by the Commissioner of Education on July 25th, 2018, and resolved that the State Board of Education commits to championing efforts to keep equity at the forefront of the mission of the State Board of Education.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Patricia. Is there any discussion on this motion? Seeing or hearing none, Denise, please call roll.
Patrick McPherson,
Yes.
Maureen Nichols,
Yes.
Molly O'Halloran,
Yes.
John Witzel.
Yes.
Rachel Wise.
Yes.
Patricia Tim,
Yes.
Lisa Fricky,
Yes.
Patsy Co-Johns.
Yes.
And Patricia Tim?
Yes.
Okay. It doesn't want to take yours. 8 yes.
Let's give this to the Commissioner. Commissioner?
Thanks, we'll hang it up.
There you go. We'll sign it. That concludes my report.
Moving along with the agenda, in regards to AQuest Teaching Learning Domain Committee, Maureen, is there a motion for item 7.5.A?
Yes, I move to approve the educator preparation programs in Nebraska colleges and universities for 2018-2019.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Patsy. Is there any discussion on this motion? Seeing or hearing none, Denise, please call roll.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Witzel,
Yes.
Fricky,
Yes.
McPherson,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Wise,
Yes.
Co-Johns.
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you, Denise. Maureen, is there a motion on item 7.5.B?
Yes, I move to grant the commissioner authority to contract with an individual yet to be named for a period beginning on or after August 6th, 2018 through July 31st, 2019, for the purpose of directly supporting principals, superintendents, principal supervisors, and other school leaders.
Thank you, Maureen. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Rachel. Is there any discussion on this motion? Seeing or hearing none, Denise, please call roll.
Nichols,
Yes.
McPherson,
Yes.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Wise,
Yes.
Witzel,
Yes.
Fricky,
Yes.
Co-Johns.
Yes.
8 yes.
Maureen, is there a motion for item 7.5.C?
Yes. I move to approve Nebraska Student-Centered Assessment System, NSCAS, mathematics cut scores for grades 3 through 8, and NSCAS alternate mathematics cut scores for grades 3 through 8 and 11.
Second.
Second by Patricia. Is there any discussion on this motion? Seeing or hearing none, Denise, please call roll.
Wise,
Yes.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Fricky,
Yes.
Co-Johns,
Yes.
Witzel,
Yes.
McPherson,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you very much. Commissioner, do we have all the individuals available for our hearings? Oh, not yet. Check. Good morning, Liz. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Board members, we're going to start the hearings. The State Board of Education is prepared to consider the disposition of case 18-12, Commissioner versus Ryan Epperson. The board has been provided with the record of the Nebraska Professional Practices Commission's proceedings containing the findings of fact, conclusions of law, and the recommendation of the commission. All of the pleadings, exhibits, and a written transcript of the NPPC hearing are marked by the State Board as Exhibit 1. The notice of disposition hearing and certified return receipts are marked as Exhibit 2. If there is no objection, these will be received. We will first hear from a representative of the NPPC, then the petitioner, and finally a representative of the respondent. Each representative will be given 10 minutes to present his or her statements. The board will not receive any additional evidence or testimony beyond that contained in Exhibits 1 and 2. Will the representative of the Professional Practices Commission please come forward, be seated, and identify yourself?
Good morning. I am Kelly Mothersbaugh, and I'm here representing the Nebraska Professional Practices Commission on the matter of Matthew L. Bloomstead versus Ryan Epperson. On April 10th, 2017, the Iowa Board of Educational Examiners indefinitely suspended the respondent's Iowa teaching certificate with no possibility for reinstatement for a minimum of 3 years after the board determined the respondent solicited and encouraged an inappropriate relationship with a student. The respondent applied for a Nebraska teaching certificate in February 2016 and failed to disclose to the Nebraska Department of Education that he had been investigated by the Council Bluffs Public Schools and, as a result of that investigation, had submitted his resignation during the school year. The Commission deliberated on the facts before it and recommends to the State Board of Education that the respondent's certificate be revoked for a period of 5 years.
Does any board member have any questions of the clerk? Hearing none, will the petitioner please come forward, be seated, and identify yourself?
Hello, Sarah Hulak, 301 Centennial Mall South, 6th floor, Lincoln, Nebraska, here on behalf of the Commissioner of Education, Dr. Matt Bloomstead, petitioner in this matter. We are in support of the Professional Practices Commission's recommendation as it is consistent with prior precedent in cases for similar circumstances, and the facts and record warrant the recommendations by the PPC in this matter. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you very much. Does any board member have any questions of the petitioner? Seeing and hearing none, will the respondent please come forward, be seated, and identify yourself? The record will reflect that the respondent did not appear. Does any board member have, no questions of the respondent. This proceeding is now closed. The board will make a determination on this matter at a later date. We'll now turn to our second case. The State Board of Education is prepared to consider the disposition of Case 18-13, Commissioner versus Jesse Stuhl. The board has been provided with the record of Nebraska Professional Practices Commission's proceedings containing the findings of facts, conclusions of law, and the recommendation of the commission. All of the pleadings, exhibits, and a written transcript of the NPPC hearing are marked by the State Board as Exhibit 1. The notice of disposition hearing and the certified return receipts are marked as Exhibit 2. If there is no objections, these will be received. We will first hear from a representative of the NPPC, then the petitioner, and finally a representative of the respondent. Each representative will be given 10 minutes to present his or her statements. The board will not receive any additional evidence or testimony beyond the contained in Exhibits 1 and 2. Will the representative of the Professional Practices Commission please come forward, be seated, and identify yourself?
I'm Kelly Mothersbaugh, and I'm here representing the Nebraska Professional Practices Commission on the matter of Matthew L. Bloomstead versus Jesse Stuhl. The respondent was employed in various capacities for 14 years by the Omaha Public Schools, including the last 7 years as a teacher, until his contract was canceled by the Omaha School Board on April 3rd, 2017. On or about January 9th, 2018, in the Sarpy County District Court, pursuant to a plea agreement, the respondent pled guilty to attempted delivery of a controlled substance, to wit, methamphetamine, a Class 2A felony. On March 12, 2018, the respondent was sentenced to 5 years of probation. The commission deliberated on the facts before it and recommends to the State Board of Education that the respondent's certificate be revoked for a period of 5 years.
Does any board member have any questions of the clerk? Seeing and hearing none, will the petitioner please come forward, be seated, and identify yourself?
Sarah Hulak, 301 Centennial Mall South, 6th floor, Lincoln, Nebraska, here on behalf of the Commissioner of Education, Dr. Matt Bloomstead, petitioner in this matter. We are in support of the professional practices recommendation as it is consistent with prior precedent, and the facts and record warrant the recommended sanction in this matter. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Does any board member have any questions of the petitioner? The record will reflect the respondent did not appear, but that the board was provided a written statement from the respondent's attorney was received by members of the board prior to today's proceedings. This proceeding is now closed. The board will make a determination on this matter at a later date. State Board of Education is prepared to consider the disposition of case 18-14, Commissioner versus Tony Little. The board has been provided with the record of the Nebraska Professional Practices Commission's proceedings containing the findings of facts, conclusions of law, and recommendation of the commission. All of the pleadings, exhibits, and a written transcript of the NPPC hearings are marked by the State Board as Exhibit 1. The notice of disposition hearing and the certified return receipts are marked as Exhibit 2. If there is no objection, these will be received. We will first hear from the representative of the NPPC, then the petitioner, and finally a representative of the respondent. Each representative will be given 10 minutes to present his or her statements. The board will not receive any additional evidence or testimony beyond that contained in Exhibits 1 and 2. Will the representative of the Professional Practices Commission please come forward, be seated, and identify yourself?
I'm Kelly Mothersbaugh, and I'm here representing the Nebraska Professional Practices Commission on the matter of Matthew L. Bloomstead versus Tony Little. The respondent was employed as a principal by the Nebraska City Public Schools until his resignation was accepted by the Nebraska City School Board on February 13th, 2017. On or about February 6th, 2017, the superintendent of Nebraska City Public Schools placed the respondent on administrative leave due to allegations of sexual harassment and alleged violations of District Policy 4014, employment-related sexual harassment. From approximately 2011 until February 2nd, 2017, the respondent made female staff members of the Nebraska City Public Schools uncomfortable by sending inappropriate and unwelcomed communications to said female staff members, and that the unwelcomed communications to said included sexual comments via text messaging and in person, and were perceived by the staff members as sexually harassing in nature. The commission deliberated on the facts before it and recommends to the State Board of Education that the respondent's certificate be revoked for a period of 18 months.
Does any board member have any questions of the clerk? Seeing none, thank you very much. Will the petitioner please come forward, be seated, and identify yourself?
Sarah Hulak, 301 Centennial Mall South, 6th floor, Lincoln, Nebraska, here on behalf of the Commissioner of Education, Dr. Matt Bloomstead, petitioner in this matter. We are in support of the Professional Practices Commission's recommendation as it is consistent with prior precedent, and the facts and record warrant the recommended sanction in this matter. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Does any board member have questions of the petitioner? Seeing or hearing none, will the respondent, thank you, will the respondent please come forward, be seated, and identify yourself? The record will reflect the respondent did not appear. Does any board member have, well, no questions of the respondent. This proceeding is now closed. The board will make a determination at a later date. After this, is there a motion to go into executive session?
I move that the State Board go into executive session to deliberate and receive legal advice from legal counsel on contested cases.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion on this motion? Seeing or hearing none, Denise, please call roll.
Fricke,
Yes.
Coe-Johns,
Yes.
Wise,
Yes.
Witzel,
Yes.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
McPherson.
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you very much, Denise. The board will now go into executive session only to deliberate and receive legal advice from legal counsel on contested cases. Session. Thank you very much.
I would move.
Hey, wait. Is there a motion to come out of executive session?
Why, yes, there is. I move that the State Board of Education come out of executive session.
Second?
Is there any discussion on this motion? Seeing, hearing none. Denise, please call roll.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
McPherson,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Co-Johns,
Yes.
Wise,
Yes.
Witzel,
Yes.
Fricky.
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you, Denise. We will now move to the action items on today's agenda. Consider the PPC's recommendation on NDE case 1812, Commissioner versus Ryan Epperson. Molly, is there a motion on item 7.1 in NDE case 1812?
Yes, I move in Commissioner versus Ryan Epperson, NDE case number 1812, that this board adopt the findings of fact and conclusions of law. However, the state board believes that an appropriate sanction is a 3-year revocation of the respondent's teaching permit.
Second.
Second by Patricia. Is there any discussion on this motion? Denise, please call roll.
Fricky,
Yes.
Co-Johns,
Yes.
Wise,
Yes.
Witzel,
Yes.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
McPherson.
Yes.
8 yes.
We will next consider the PPC's recommended decision on NDE case number 1813, Commissioner versus Jesse Stool.
I move in Commissioner versus Jesse Stoll, NDE case number 18-13, that this board adopt the findings of fact, conclusions of law, and the recommendation of the Nebraska Professional Practices Commission, revoking the respondent's teaching certificate for a period of 5 years, and to adopt the final order proposed by legal counsel.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on this motion? Seeing and hearing none, Denise, please call roll.
McPherson,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Wise,
Yes.
Witzel,
Yes.
Fricky,
Yes.
Co-Johns.
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you, Denise. Next, we will consider PPC's recommended decision on NDE case 18-14, Commissioner versus Tony Little.
I would like to make a motion. I move in Commissioner versus Tony Little, NDE case number 1814, that this board adopt the findings of fact and conclusions of law of the Nebraska Professional Practices Commission. However, the state board believes an appropriate sanction is a 3-year revocation.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Patsy. Is there any discussion on this motion? Seeing and hearing none, Denise, please call roll.
Nichols,
Yes.
Wise,
Yes.
Witzel,
Yes.
Co-Johns,
Yes.
McPherson,
Yes.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Fricky,
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you very much. That ends our cases. Thank you very much. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, PBC. Thank you very much. We'll now continue with our agenda. AQuest Student Success and Access Domain Committee. Molly, is there a motion for item 17.6.A?
I move to accept fiscal year 2018 funding through the Improving Student Health and Academic Achievement through Nutrition, Physical Activity, and the Management of Chronic Conditions in Schools Notice of Funding Opportunity.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this motion? Seeing or hearing none, Denise, please call roll.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Fricky,
Yes.
Wise,
Yes.
Co-Johns,
Yes.
Witzel,
Yes.
McPherson,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you, Denise. Molly, is there a motion on item 7.6.B?
Yes. I move
move to grant the Commissioner the authority to contract with the Children's Hospital and Medical Center Foundation for improving student health and academic achievement through nutrition, physical activity, and management of chronic conditions in schools.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing or hearing none, Denise, please call roll.
McPherson,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Witzel,
Yes.
Wise,
Yes.
Co-Johns,
Yes.
Fricky.
Yes.
8 yes.
Molly, is there a motion on item 7.6.c?
Yes, I move to approve public school districts and educational service units that have established early childhood education programs in accordance with the provision of Rule 11.
Second.
Second by Patsy. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing or hearing none, Denise, please call roll.
Witzel,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
McPherson,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Co-Johns,
Yes.
Wise,
Yes.
Fricky.
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you, Denise. Molly, is there a motion on item 7.6.d?
Yes, I move to approve Morrill Public Schools Early Childhood Program.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on this motion?
Yes, as I said yesterday, this really tends to be a violation of our current rule and procedures. Will vote yes for it, but with the understanding that a rule change will be brought to the board hopefully by November. And it's not that I'm unsympathetic at all for what Morrell is trying to do. It's just a matter that, you know, we basically are violating our own policy by doing this. Thank you.
Any other discussion items? If not, Denise, please call roll.
Fricky,
Yes.
Witzel,
Yes.
Co-Johns,
Yes.
Wise,
Yes.
McPherson,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you, Denise. Molly, is there a motion on item 7.6.e?
I move to grant the Commissioner the authority to continue with agreement between the Board of Regents, State of Iowa, on behalf of the Iowa School for the Deaf and the Nebraska Department of Education for the provision of educational and residential services to Nebraska children and youth with hearing impairments in need of such services.
Second.
Second. Discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Denise, please call roll.
O'Halloran,
Yes?
Witzel,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Wise,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Co-Johns,
Yes.
McPherson,
Yes.
Fricky.
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you very much. Molly, is there a motion on item 7.6.f?
Yes, I move to grant the Commissioner the authority to fund the Autism Spectrum Disorder ASD Network projects, the University of Nebraska UNLVI project, the Nebraska Center for the Education of Children Who Are Blind, Visually Impaired, NCE-CBVI project, and the Promoting Engagement and Knowledge projects, PEAK.
Thank you, Molly. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Patricia. Is there any discussion on this motion? Seeing or hearing none, Denise, please call roll.
Fricky,
Yes.
Wise,
Yes.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
McPherson,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Witzel,
Yes.
Co-Johns.
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you, Denise. Molly, is there a motion on item 7.6.g?
Yes, I move to grant conditional approval under Rule 14, 92 NAC 14, regulations and procedures for the legal operation of approved non-public schools for applicant non-public schools to operate in the 2018-19 school years.
Is there a second?
Second.
Rachel? Patsy?
Rachel's fine.
Very good. Is there any discussion on this motion? Seeing and hearing none, Denise, please call roll.
Wise,
Yes.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Witzel,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Fricky,
Yes.
Co-Johns,
Yes.
McPherson,
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
8 yes.
We'll now move into Strategic Planning, Performance, and Improvement Committee. Vice President Tim, is there a motion on 7.7.a?
Yes, I move to approve the Priority School Progress Plan for Schuyler Central High School for the
2018-19 school year.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none?
I have discussion, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. I said this yesterday, and I feel it today as I did yesterday. I think if you look at this plan, it could apply to probably 100 schools across the state of Nebraska. As far as applying to Schuyler, I see nothing in this that has any tangible numbers that are meaningful that will result in anyone being able to say that we were at this point on this date, and 2 years from now or 3 years from now, we've succeeded by reaching this goal or achieving this goal. I don't find any hard numbers in this plan, and that bothers me greatly. I expressed concern a year ago when we removed Druid Hill. They were on the priority school list for a year. And we said, oh, they've done all these things. Give me some tangible evidence, please, that says that we're started at this point with number of kids that are graduating, number of kids that are scoring this on the ACT, number of kids that are going to do this on NCAS, and I don't see that in this plan. And that bothers me greatly, and for that reason, I'm going to vote against this. Thank you.
Lisa, please.
Mr. McPherson, I think if you remember yesterday, Dr. Kennedy said that she would add the baseline documentation so that a year from now, you'll have something to compare to. Do you remember that?
I remember it, but I don't see it in the plan today.
She said,
And I'm not willing to wait a year to get baseline information. Thank you.
Rachel.
Yes, and I think that it's important that we understand the designation occurs through the use of a data set. And that data set may not be attached to the plan, but the data set is there. The data set is what we'll continue to use, no different than what it was used as a part of the process in our classification as a part of our accountability system. So I think that it may not be as clearly stated, but I think it's important for all of us to understand that is an ongoing data set that we use, that we're aware of, that we can look at for any of our schools as we look at school report cards, as we look at that information. It's available to us, it's available to the public, and it is an important piece for us to look at. So I understand the perspective, and I think there's value, and I think we clarified that going forward. It will be brought forward again, but it is existing data that's already used. That's the baseline data. That's the data that will continue to be used and monitored. So I do concur the need to have the data front and present, but it's not that the data isn't available and hasn't been viewed by us in the past.
Thank you.
Let me just say that, the data set may be there, as you indicate, but there's still nothing in the plan that I see that says from this data set today, a year from now, or 2 years from now, or 3 years from now, we ought to be reaching this goal or this objective. I don't see that there.
Yes, Molly.
The motion is on approving the priority school progress plan for Schuyler Central High School for 2018-19 school year. And I just wanted to make one huge comment for all the people that live in this area, the teachers, the principals, the superintendent, and the parents. I believe that the priority school progress plan is a brave one. And how would you like to be that school, the first one ever in such a demographically shifting type of student population? We didn't get the total percentage of English learners, but they have tremendous challenges. I just want to say I'm voting to approve for this priority school progress plan because it is going to set the way for other schools across our state that are having an infusion of refugees and English learners. And I hope that through KLK Consulting that we aren't blaming this school or holding it down just to the facts we have, but teaches us as a Nebraska Department of Ed and State Board of Ed to not only look at raw classifications, which we used to basis the priority standing, but to maybe even for us to be educated on how we can change the evidence-based analytics to better reward schools such as this that are doing the dual language programs, dual literacy, that are fast-tracking their high school academic courses, that they are learning English and also being able to be employable, college career ready, and civically involved in their communities. So I'm just amazed. This is the first time. It's a little messy, Pat, and I like Pat's idea about details, but I think it's more than just raw classification, growth, and SCAS, and I'm looking forward to this. And I have faith in this board that you'll make it happen.
Any other? Lisa?
And I believe data is very important too, but I think in this process, we need to look at not only quantitative but qualitative indicators of success, so.
Any other discussion? Seeing none. Denise, please call roll.
Fricky,
Yes.
Co-Johns,
Yes.
Wise,
Yes.
McPherson,
No.
Nichols,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
O'Halloran.
Yes.
Witzel.
Yes.
7 yes, 1 no.
Thank you very much, Denise. The consent agenda, have you already words on the consent agenda, Commissioner? Very good, sir. Move on, sir.
Don't we need to approve it?
No, wait, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second?
Is there any discussion on this motion? Seeing or hearing none, Denise, please call roll.
Nichols,
Yes.
McPherson,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Witzel,
Yes.
Co-Johns.
Yes.
Fricky,
Yes.
Wise,
Yes.
O'Halloran.
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you very much, Denise. We will now move into board reports, dates, and discussion items. Is there a motion to approve meetings that took place in the past that were not previously approved for Rachel Wise for attending the Native American Tribal Council, June 29th, 30th, 2018?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Denise, please call roll.
Witzel,
Yes.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
McPherson,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Co-Johns,
Yes.
Fricky,
Yes.
Wise.
Abstain.
7 yes, 1 abstain.
Very good, thank you. Is there a motion to approve meetings that took place in the past that were not previously approved for Patrick McPherson for attending the Governor's Education Summit on July 12th, 2018? Is there a second?
I move, second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I thought I needed
Yeah.
to make a
You
motion
make a
first.
motion. Yeah.
I move approval of Pat McPherson's attendance at that meeting.
Okay, whoever makes the motion, whatever, is there a second?
Second.
Yes.
Rachel did.
Any discussion?
Slow down, folks.
Seeing, hearing none, Denise, please call roll.
Fricky,
Yes.
Co-Johns.
Yes.
Wise.
Yes.
Witzel,
Yes.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
McPherson.
Abstain.
7 yes, 1 abstain.
Very good. Is there a motion to approve the meetings that took place in the past that were not previously approved for Lisa Fricky for speaking for future administrators at Doane College in Lincoln, Nebraska on July 18th, 2018?
I so move.
Is there a second? Discussion? Seeing, hearing none, Denise, please call roll.
McPherson,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Wise,
Yes.
Witzel,
Yes.
Co-Johns,
Yes.
Fricky.
Abstain.
7 yes, 1 abstain.
Is there a motion to approve the future meetings participation?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on this motion? Seeing, hearing none, Denise, please call roll.
Co-Johns,
Yes.
Wise,
Yes.
Fricky,
Yes.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Witzel,
Yes.
McPherson,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you very much. At this time, the board will take a short recess. When the meeting resumes, we will take up board member quarterly reports. The broadcast of this meeting will now end. So let's take a break. Thank you very much.